Watch as a woke leftist comes at Charlie Kirk while wearing a MAGA hat too, and comes to instantly regret her bad mistake. Guys, this is gonna be a fun video. I know you're gonna like it. It's always fun to see a nice little sparring match, especially when the student has a MAGA hat, a little unexpected. So we're gonna get right into it, but first, everybody, help me out real quick. Like our video, share it around, and if you're new, subscribe to the Resistant Mainstream YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you guys this great content. And thank you to those of you who are returning. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Darian. Let's get into the show.
Hi, Charlie.
You are ready? I will. One sec. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just have a question kind of based on affirmative action. I'm a computer engineer here at UW-Madison. I'm about to graduate. And there's a lot that I've found through research and just general, I guess, my studies. Not only does affirmative action help, minorities, people of color, but also women in general. And there's a lot of facets of engineering, the medical system, and other factors that, because of affirmative action, have helped. I'll just go into something. For example, let's say in the medical field, endometriosis, something like that has not been studied in women due to so little women being in the medical field. Also, for example, cars, the seatbelt is made specifically for the male body. They're only tested with male mannequins, so a lot of women are in risk of dying in car crashes at a higher rate.
Not true.
There's a lot of things that benefit from a diverse group of people, both in engineering and medical fields and education and other facets of the systems. And I was just wondering, without affirmative action, how do you think we can bring these people in to bring a variety of opinions?
Yeah, no, I mean,
views?
just have a meritocracy, right? So you have 3 white men around you. You can see 1, 2, 3. So if one supports affirmative, no, it's okay. If one supports affirmative action,
Right.
it would mean that you would be okay turning to those 3 men and saying, I deserve the position more than you based on something that doesn't matter more than something that does matter.
I feel like that's one facet of it that we're not also paying attention to, is that people that are graduating from the same schools. They're graduating with the same degrees.
With lower test scores, though. Much lower. Every study of affirmative action, for example, the Harvard case showed that it was nearly 40% lower test scores for people of color versus their white male counterparts and Asian counterparts.
And so how
at
can
some point,
is that why would that happen? Do you think
why?
it's yeah?
Why
What causes that? Do you think it's just because people of color are more stupid?
No,
or,
of course not.
Right.
I mean, people of color come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that don't prioritize education
so
as much.
how do we
but
fix
that's
those socioeconomic statuses?
Right, that's an interesting point. Not should we try to penalize white males that are competent to go run our systems and our institutions. So
Right.
those are 2 different things.
Right.
So what we're doing is our institutions are now becoming less excellent. Our country is not working like it used to because we basically told people that are very qualified and very competent that, sorry, we're not going to put a position for you here. For example, the U.S. Secret Service. Let me just give you one example, okay? We can all agree that protecting a president, whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, is super important, right? But now the Secret Service has said that we want to have 30% of all our agents be women, which, by the way, they have lower fitness criteria. So they have less pull-ups, less push-ups, slower mile time.
That's something that's due to your
hold on.
genetics.
Exactly. Yeah. No. But this is affirmative action, right? And so therefore, when
there's fields I don't think that's a good. One second. I just don't think that.
Secret Service agents are a fine example. We saw that total disaster that happened when Trump was almost assassinated just about less than 3 months ago. Did you guys see how one of those ladies was cowering away while Trump was getting shot at? If you haven't, go back and look again. You'll see what I'm talking about. Additionally, one of the Secret Service agents was struggling to holster her firearm while that was going on. It's a disaster, all right? People can get killed because of this, and it almost happened to former President Donald Trump. This isn't a joke. That aside, have you guys noticed, I can't be the only one, how many more female cops we're seeing all over the place now? It's pretty insane. I swear I only saw maybe 1 female cop for every 10, even as recently as 5 years ago. But now it's got to be 3 or more. And much like the Secret Service, they have lower physical standards that they have to pass in order to make it there. How does that make any sense? Have you guys seen these videos where a female cop is trying to deal with some kind of suspect, and then the suspect overpowers her, and in some cases even steals her gun? Yeah, I've seen that happen on videos. It's not a pretty sight. Once again, people can get killed because of affirmative action. It's not a joke. And when they don't get killed, you're still gonna have plenty of worse outcomes. Because at the end of the day, affirmative action is by definition a racist and sexist practice. You're basically saying, hey, because of your skin color, there's too many of you, get out of here, or your sex, either or. It is a wicked thing, and there's no reason anybody should support it.
So therefore, when
Well, there's like fields, like I don't think that's a
But
good.
let me-
One second. I just don't think that's a good example because like women will never be as strong as men, at least
Got it. So
genetically.
that's an interesting
So I
question.
think it should be something that's
will women,
more like
will women be
ideologically
as,
based.
Will
like,
women be as good at engineering as men, person for person?
Not necessarily, but
Okay, well then, how is that different than the Secret Service example?
well, the problem is that
Because
for
the male mind is wired different than the female mind. By the way, men will never be as good. Hold on, I'll prove it to you. Men will never be as good at counseling or psychology sessions as women. Men will never be good at nursing or elementary school education as women. We have certain giftings because our brain is wired a certain way. Women are far better gifted at micro topics, so individual connection, empathetic type conversations, healing people that past trauma and wound. Men are much better at macro topics, right? Trying to build a building, put a skyscraper up, trying to talk geopolitics. And I'll prove it to you. When you go and you see 5 women eating lunch, they're probably talking about micro topics, conversations they had, relationships, friendships. Men, they're talking about politics, sports, or the stock market.
that's not necessarily
Oh
true.
yes, you guys all agree, right?
I mean, there's a reason.
No,
I'm
these
here.
these are bimodal general truths, right? Of course, there's exceptions, but
It's not
if you,
a general truth, though. I feel like women have the capability of
they do,
having
but it's
political
not-
conversations.
Of course they do,
and-
but it's not the general wiring or nature of
It's
women.
not. There's no wiring for your brain to like Donald Trump. Like that's not a real thing. I
Well,
feel
hold
like.
on, but wait a second. But do you think that men and women are made different in our brains? In our
Certain things, but not necessarily. It doesn't like
Like
channel
what-
you
like
to be
what
a
things?
specific thing.
like
Huh?
what things?
Well, like there's like specific wirings to like produce certain types of hormones, and that's like differences that are genetically.
So you don't think that men are more likely to like contact sports, more likely to enjoy football, UFC, hunting?
I think that's because of a societal norm in general. Like over
you
a lot
really
of
no,
time.
come on, you're smarter than that. That's not true.
Well,
Hold on. So why is it
There's
that
women that play football, so like you can't just
of
say
course,
that.
and there
so
are
that's
men
an
that dress
example
in
of women
drag,
that
but
don't
those
do
are
that.
those are not the
Sorry.
the general truth of it. So let me just be clear. You think that there's nothing within the female brain in its constitution that makes young ladies more likely?
I mean, being that I'm an engineer, I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I feel like there's.
So you think if you pick a random lady here that they'd be just as comfortable sitting and watching a 4-hour football game than they were to go get their hair done with their best girlfriend?
Well, I feel like that's kind of diminishing to say, oh, because you're a woman, you will not be able to sit through a 4-hour
But
football
is it,
field.
is it diminishing to say a man wouldn't want to go get his hair done?
All right, if that's diminishing, I'll raise Charlie Kirk one. I think women are far more likely to sit through a 4-hour chick flick than they are a football game. Call me a sexist. Oh. That aside, I just find this whole idea that because there's an exception to the rule, it disproves the rule. It's ridiculous. And it's so irritating how often you hear that repeated all over the place in American society. I don't know how many times I've said something like, yeah, men are generally stronger than women. And then someone will say, oh yeah? Well, I know a woman who could beat you up. She does MMA. Okay. Yeah, you know one woman. Great. And by the way, you probably made her up anyways. I doubt she's even real. But let's say you're being honest. Let's say you're telling the truth. That's one out of how many women you know? 200? But that somehow disproves the rule that men are generally stronger than women? You can't be serious right now. It's just, how is this even a conversation? It's so dumb. At the end of the day, you have to talk in generalities about things. That's just how it works. It's kind of like if somebody said, hey, most women are elementary school teachers. Generally, women like to tend towards those jobs because they're more nurturing. And then some incensed man comes out and says, oh yeah, well, I know a man who teaches elementary school and he's deeply caring and loves children. So how about that, huh? First of all, there might be something off about that guy, so maybe we should check on him. But that aside, assuming he is just this genuinely caring guy who loves working with small children, guess what? He's the exception, not the rule. And that's why they're called exceptions, not the norm. That simple.
No?
No, I'm sure you get your hair done, right?
Not really. It's like 10 minutes in and out, like barbershop.
Okay, but you still do it. It's
But the point, again, there are certain things that women will take more seriously. For example, women will take a lot longer getting ready for the day than men.
Yeah.
Right? Why?
because we're held to higher standards to
No,
look pretty.
no.
For example, your hair. How short is your hair? It's super short. Mine, it's gonna take longer to dry.
Do you wear
right?
makeup?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you want to look pretty, and it takes.
Yeah, that's not important to me because I'm a man.
Well, right. But who made you
but
feel
there's
that
something
way?
in your
but you
wiring.
feel comfortable
No,
not
no,
wearing
it's not
makeup
a-
because of a certain reason.
Well, but you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing makeup?
I can not wear makeup.
But why do you do it?
I mean, like right now I'm not wearing like anything really.
No, I know, but that's the point, is that at some point you wear makeup because there's something within your wiring that says, I want to be presentable to the world. And that wiring honestly is, I want to find a mate to have children.
This question was about affirmative action. I think we're
No,
getting
it's
off
not. It's
the
actually really important because I don't think there's any differences between races, but I think that when it comes to affirmative action, we're saying that there are differences.
Right.
That we're trying to say that things that don't matter should matter. So I don't think race matters. Affirmative
Right.
action says race
What
does
about
matter.
like women also in fields like that? Like what I explained
I
earlier.
think that's even more dangerous, to be honest with you. If like we're going to say that women should be Secret Service agents protecting Trump.
Not Secret Service. I'm talking about medicine, engineering, that type of
Well,
thing.
hold on. Okay, so should we try to have the same amount of female to male OBGYNs?
I think it should
Hold on.
be similar to the amount of like
OBGYNs, though.
the general population.
So hold on. 85% of all OBGYNs are female.
Yeah.
So now should we have parity so that men...
I have an OBGYN that's a man. That's not a problem.
That's not the point. The point is, should we have parity?
I think it should be similar to like whatever the...
Got it. Okay. So you're consistent. So women studying in the OBGYN field will be actively discriminated against. So a man can, because we must have parity.
It's not about people in the OBGYN specifically. It's about people in general. Men were, like, for example, women were not able to vote until like less than 100 years ago, basically, right?
What does that have to do with
One
the
second.
field?
So because of that, a lot of the laws, a lot of everything that's set in place was made by men, was excluding women, was creating like reforms and like certain legislations that would specifically, support men.
Yet, ironically, women are more miserable than they ever have been. Yet we hear all this stuff about how we need all this liberation, and they're so much freer now. It's so much better. It's so empowering that they can go get a job, get a career, spin a widget for some fat cat instead of serving a husband who actually cares about her and loves her. How's that working out?
Rather than women, because
Or
women don't have that ability.
Or support society. I don't think it was always about supporting
Well, for
men.
example, like what about it? Like what I brought up, endometriosis, or like the seatbelt accident, like all this stuff is due because we tend to favor men in specific.
Well, so I just don't believe that. First of all, because research
I
will go
can
where the money
show
is,
you,
and
but-
so if there was money in endometriosis research,
Not much, because
well,
men
that's
don't
why.
care.
So maybe it wasn't sexism. Maybe it was a monetary explanation.
Well, who has the money in a society?
Well, actually, women
usually?
control more money than men in the country.
But women weren't able to have bank accounts until like less than 100 years ago, so they can't really build that generational wealth.
Do you think it's been a better thing with women's liberation the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I would
Do you think that's interesting? Do you think women are happier in America today than they were 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Then why are they the most depressed group in the history of the species? Women are the most miserable they've ever been. Like, why is that?
I don't think that's because we're allowed to have money.
No,
now,
I'm asking but it's like more liberation, more college degrees, more birth control, less marriage.
I would
less
argue
kids.
otherwise. I don't know where you got that data.
No,
that, we're
everybody
more
agrees that
depressed.
women are super miserable. As far as versus 30 years ago.
Well, it could be the fact that because women weren't able to go to a psychologist or like before.
Or maybe it's because they're not doing the one thing that they want to do, which is to get married and have children.
Yeah, she's saying that. No, it's actually opposite. It's saying that women actually. Says women around the world report higher levels of life satisfaction than men, but at the same time report more daily stress.
Yeah,
so we're just held
so
to
type in women antidepressant use 2024. It is the highest it has ever been.
But there's like more layers to it than that. It can't just be that. You have
Is
to
there?
look at why are women more likely to go and talk to a psychologist. There's the differences in that.
So, but I'm just curious. So, do you think women are generally happier in 2024 than they were in 1964?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I just had the question of how would you want to fix that? Just
There's no problem.
Press X to doubt.
The fix, pure meritocracy.
no, I'm just saying like how do you bring people with diverse opinions?
Oh yeah, I mean like I don't care that much about. I care about excellence.
So like women, like you used to be
I
studying
don't
into
care
stuff
about
like
putting women in
endometriosis
STEM.
and
I
stuff
care
like
about being
that.
a strong
No, I'm talking
and-
about like being able to like look into those type of things, like endometriosis, like all this stuff. How do we make that
that's-
safer for
those
other
are-
people without bringing people that care about it?
Not that important to me. I want the country we once had,
Oh.
which was the greatest country ever, where we put excellence and we put superior intellect above like sensitive racial politics. Not interesting to me.
Okay.
Because it was a bunch of white men that were like running the country, and all of a sudden we've
I'm
decided.
not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just
no,
saying
good.
that.
Like that's fine. I mean, but when we used to have a country that was based on merit, we were more successful, and we were a better run country, and we're objectively not now.
Yeah.
We're a country
I'm just
can't e-
saying that in
we can't
engineering,
even
there's
protect
a
a
lot
president
of-
from getting shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts in engineering that because we don't have a diverse look of opinions, then we are putting we're putting certain people into more danger, like women in cars. That's like one example.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay.
All right. Thanks. You're voting for Trump?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I can't.
Yeah, well, you lied to get a hat, and that shows your
I
character.
didn't lie. I said I would wear it. You said if you wear it.
I said
you
only
have
if you
it.
vote, but that's fine. All right, next question.
Ooh, called out. By the way, that stuff about the women in cars being more at risk, totally just a load of crap. Not true at all. Just have to get that off my chest. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, please be sure to comment on our video. Let us know what you liked about it, what kind of content you want to see in the future, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks, and God bless.